What is up, guys? It's your boy Rick Kakis, and today we have the Desert Perpetual Raid for Dummies, showcasing every single mechanic of every single encounter, as well as tips, tricks, and loadout suggestions to help you beat what is looking like one of the hardest raids in Destiny 2 history, if not the hardest. Contest mode is still snatching souls, and normal mode is no joke either. But hopefully, this guide can help. And if it does, guys, please remember to support the video by liking and especially sharing. And hey, if I can teach you an entire raid, I'm sure I can also teach you some other useful things in Destiny 2, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. Alright, now let's get started with the opening encounter, sort of. The layout of this raid is actually different than raids we've had for several years. It actually harkens back in design to the original Leviathan raid in Destiny 2, whereas you can actually pick which encounter you want to start at. So as you can see right here, you head to this middle area. You're going to kill the ads in the middle of this area. Then you go up in this tower, and here you can interact with 3 different objects to choose again which encounter you start with. Now, remember guys, I've timestamped this video with the exact encounter you need, so whether you follow the same order I go in this video or pick your own order, you'll be able to easily see whatever encounter you need, again, down in the playlist or in the description. Alright, so let's start here with the Hobgoblin encounter, and this is going to be located in this direction. So you will need to activate this object, it will point in the direction you need to go, and then there will be a bit of a traversal section to get all the way to the encounter. But once you do, guys, as you can see right here, you're going to enter into this area, and then what the heck is going on? Well, the first thing you are going to notice is that there are a bunch of like circular objects in the middle of this arena, like electric circular coil objects, 5 to be specific, and then surrounding you is going to be 3 giant hobgoblin bosses, each with different names, and their names are actually going to matter. But this does mean that you're going to be sniped by these guys pretty much the entire encounter, so it's not a bad idea to put on a solar and or sniper damage resist chest mod. Now, as for the mechanics, the first thing you want to do is clear out the initial wave of ads. They're just goblins, but eventually a big yellow bar mini boss Hydra will spawn back here in the arena, the same spot every time. You want to kill this Hydra because when you do, then yellow bar minotaurs will start to spawn. And when you kill these minotaurs, as you can see right here, they drop a weird object called a Chronos. It's actually a Cobalt Chronos, but that really doesn't matter for this encounter. Also, I guess it's Chronons. I think I mispronounced it for this entire guide, so sorry about that, but regardless. Now, when you pick up this Chronos, then you're going to want to run through these arc coil objects in the middle of the arena, and as you can see, this will turn them on. So that means there are 5 minotaurs that spawn in total if everyone is spread out around this arena, kills their specific minotaur, like they're camping one of the Vex spawn portals, they kill their minotaur, they pick up their Chronos, they run through a coil that's not currently open, then all 5 will be powered and the mechanics will continue. So next, you're going to have a bunch of huge wyverns that spawn. You want to take down these wyverns as quickly as possible. At this point, it's a great idea to buff up. So in the middle of this arena, you're going to see 3 different plates with these like weird white connecting geometry on top of them. Now, technically, you can actually grab these buffs at any point since you've started, but after killing the wyverns, it's just a really good time to do so. So 3 people need to stand on these 3 plates, like 1 person each plate, for any of those 3 people to get their buffs. But if everyone's standing at the same time, then all 3 get buffs, and your buff is going to have a different name. So it's either going to be cyclical, absolute, or continuous temporality. Now, the people with these buffs then want to look around at the giant hobgoblin bosses that are kind of spawned in random places. They're on like these floating platforms near the top of the arena, and you want to look for the one that matches the buff you just got. So if I have cyclical, I want to look around for cyclical, and I want to go underneath that boss. Now, the reason is because of how the mechanics will progress. But at this point, you'll actually have a couple different options depending on how fast you opened up the coils. So if all 5 people killed their respective minotaurs and ran through different coils and opened all 5 of them up, then you can progress the mechanics. If they didn't, and by the way guys, if you only got 4 in, a minotaur fell off the map or someone died or whatever, you're gonna have to kill another Hydra boss to spawn more minotaurs to keep it going. But regardless, if you've been fast, then the people with the temporality buffs can actually choose to go and align with the interactable object that's underneath their respective boss. So if they've gone to the wrong one, if I have cyclical and I go underneath the absolute boss, I won't be able to interact with this object. But if I go to the matching boss underneath them, I can interact with this object, and then as you can see right here, I get a new buff called Alignment Charge, and it has 5 missing squares, guys. Now, the other thing that could happen if you're a little bit slower opening up these coils and getting the buffs and so on, it will just instantly progress the mechanics, and one of the 3 hobgoblin bosses on the upper platforms will start to snipe you guys. And I mean seriously snipe you guys. You'll see in the background gameplay, they're going to be lighting everyone up that is in their point of view with a death blast. It will count down on your screen from, I think, around 10 seconds, and if it reaches 0 and you're still in their line of sight, you will be instantly killed. If that happens, the person with the matching buff is forced to go to that particular alignment underneath that boss. So what I'm saying is that if you do it fast, before the sniper mechanic starts, you can pick which person wants to align, but otherwise you're just going to be forced to go and align underneath the boss that is doing that sniper mechanic. All right, so you have aligned, or someone has aligned. What comes next? Well, the other 2 people with the temporality buff, they need to look at the 5 coils and shout out which ones they see are not red, or blue, or calm, whatever. The 2 ones that stand out. So, as you can see from the background gameplay, during our final damage phase, I was not aligned, so I was doing this, and it was the 2 leftmost coils if I'm looking at the coils from the perspective of where we spawn in. So you want to label these coils L1, L2, R1, R2 in middle, or just 1 to 5. Whatever your team wants to do is fine. Everyone just needs to know which coils are which, because, again, there are 2 people that are not aligned. 2 out of the 3 people with the temporality buff need to do this. So I see these 2 that are blue, L1 and L2, and my other teammate with the temporality buff, they see a different 2. So it's kind of a dual destiny callback, if you can remember. So they type in chat which 2 they see, and that leaves 1 odd man out. So what happens now is that the 3 teammates without the temporality debuff, they need to start killing minotaurs and collecting Chronos again, because they need to run through those 4 coils identified by the 2 people with temporality who are not aligned. You need to go through those 4 coils first, and then the odd man out coil last. Now, one person can run through multiple of these coils, they get a Chronos, they run through one, maybe there's another Minotaur near them, they kill that, get another one, run through another, but the people with temporality, if they run through the coils, they will die. So again, it needs to be to 3 people that do not have this debuff. But once all 4 of the coils are done first, and then finally the 5th odd man out coil is done, as you can see right here, all the coils will be calmed down. They're all blue. At this point, the person with that alignment buff that has those 5 blank squares, they have to start running through all 5 of the coils, as you can see, and each coil you run through will give you a charge. Now, once you've completed the run and you have all 5 charges, then as you can see, it will change your grenade. Now it's going to throw down a Vex detention sphere. So the next thing this aligned person needs to do is go to the rest of their teammates in the middle of the map, and what they're trying to accomplish is that they need to block a sniper shot from the Hobgoblin with the detention sphere. But they can't see the timer for that variable elimination debuff that indicates when you're going to get sniped and insta-killed. So it's up to your teammates to be counting down, like, I'm at a 5, 4, 3, 2, okay, 2, throw, and then you want to deposit. We're talking the last 2 or 3 seconds. You do not want to throw it down at 5 or else it'll just be destroyed, it will go away. So the timing needs to be tight. What makes this a lot harder is that every single person will have a different timer, right? Because the timer goes away whenever you break line of sight with the boss. So one person might be at 5, the other person is at 9, so make sure you're all communicating, and the person with the lowest timer, the person who's gonna get shot first, is the one, saying, okay, I'm at 2 seconds, throw now, throw now. As you can see right here, if you do achieve that, you're gonna block a sniper shot. At this point, the boss is going to disappear from those upper platforms, and then eventually they're going to appear in front of you. There will be a big lag time, so you might want to save on putting down a well and so on until the boss actually spawns down to you, right? And at this point, we finally get to do some DPS to the boss, as you can see. Well, unless you're the person with aligned, because you have another job to do. After just a little bit of damage, you are going to need to peel off and align yourself again. So that means you need to run the gauntlet of all 5 coils again, as you can see in the background gameplay. Because what is going to happen is that even though the boss is in the middle of the arena and damageable, the other 5 teammates are just DPSing the boss, eventually the boss will actually disappear, and they are going to appear on one of the upper platforms, as you can see. Now, your teammates are actually able to damage this guy on the upper platform. So you can see they're all, nailing this guy with Thunderlords and sniper rifles from down here. They can do damage, but I also need to block an incoming sniper shot from this guy. So I've ran around the coils, I've replaced my grenade again, and then my teammates are telling me how close they are to getting shot. I throw the detention sphere and we block a sniper shot, and then the boss will teleport down again for the continuation of this damage phase. And actually, you're going to have another chance to do this. So the boss is going to teleport yet again, and you have the chance to block another sniper shot. Unfortunately, we failed this particular one, but if you succeed, the boss will teleport down and you have another extension of that damage phase, guys. So, once that is finally over with, the encounter is going to go back to normal, and you need to reopen those coils, those 5 coils, to start anew. So, you may have to kill a Hydra, and in fact, Hydras and Goblins and stuff will be present when you're doing damage, so it might be worth like peeling away and throwing a grenade or doing, a consecration slam or something if you are being really pressured by nearby adds, because otherwise they can, kind of overwhelm you, especially if your well has run out or something. Regardless, guys, again, after damage, you're going to need to get those Chronos things again and open up those coils once more. And then it is literally the same thing over again. You're opening up the 5 coils. Then when you do, you're killing the big wyverns. 3 people are getting the temporality debuffs. You're either going to and manually aligning with one of these bosses that matches your debuff, one person is, or if you've taken a little bit longer, you're forced to go to a certain one, and then you're getting to damage all the same. So there you guys have it for the mechanics behind this encounter, and good luck. This one is a doozy. You really need to have the timing tight for when you are running, you know, the 5-coil gauntlet, and you have to do that before you get the replacement grenade. You don't want your teammates getting shot before you've got that, but you also need to do it in the last second. If you take too long to block that sniper shot, if the boss is up top on the upper platform for too long, it'll cancel out the damage phase. So there you have it, guys. Let's move on to the next encounter. And actually, when you are moving to the next encounter, you will have to backtrack all the way to that central area. So in the background gameplay, you can kind of see what that looks like. And it's tough. Like, there's actually a significant amount of jumping and traversal. You might want to put on an eager edge sword or a mountaintop to give you that upward momentum to let you jump up to get in some of these crevices. Like, it's actually pretty brutal traversal all the way back here. And then very importantly, when you actually get back to the central area, when you're just coming out of this passageway, you'll have a bunch of yellow bars here. You actually do need to kill these guys to progress to the next encounter, because you'll actually need to be going back to that big purple tower, and then you need to actually activate the next encounter you want. So in this case, we are doing the Wyvern encounter. So the little spheres point the direction. We have another big jumping puzzle to do. And again, guys, you actually might need to whip out the eager edge sword to get this one complete, because you have to jump on all these tiny little platforms. But eventually you're going to go up to the door. You need to interact with this door to open it, and then continue to the chambers to the next encounter. You're going to have to jump up here on these leaves, but eventually we finally have the Wyvern encounter. So, what do you do here? Well, the first thing you're going to notice is you have the boss in the middle of this arena, and then, guys, you have this floating circle, this floating hoop, actually, a hoop you need to jump through, literally, because when you start this encounter, the first thing that's going to happen is that a bunch of minotaurs and a bunch of harpies are going to spawn all around the arena. But the minotaurs are all going to spawn in the center of the arena. So what you want to do is kind of rush them and kill these minotaurs as quickly as possible, because they are going to drop Chronos. However, it might not be the Chronos that you've actually seen in the previous encounter, because there's 3 different colors of the Chronons, whatever it's called, that can drop. There can be white, blue, or red. USA, baby! I'm just kidding. But seriously, those are the 3 different colors. Now, you'll actually see the hoop will be glowing and kind of dripping with this color as well. So if the Minotaurs are dropping the white Chronos, the hoop will be glowing white as well to indicate that's the color of Chronos you are doing. Now the color matters because it is going to be where the builder needs to go. So you're going to have to assign one person on your team the role of the builder. What this person needs to do is go to the specific plate that matches your color. So the very top plate, the one I'm on right now here, guys, this is the white plate. So if you have white Chronos, this is the plate the builder needs to go to. Then if you have blue Chronos, your plate is in the very center of the arena, like near where the boss is, right here. And if you have red, it is down below the lowest plate right here. All right, but initially the builder isn't going to have anything to do because you will need to fill the hourglass with the Chronos by, and I said this earlier, literally jumping through the hoop. Like you kill the Minotaurs, you collect the Chronos, as you can see, you jump through the hoop, and then the object below the container will start to fill up with the Chronos, and when it is full, a shootable Vex object will appear below it, and then you shoot it to progress the encounter, guys. So, At this point, you've assigned a builder. Now you need to assign 3 shooters. Now, each shooter is assigned to one of the 3 different Vex towers. These things right here with the 3 shootable Vex boxes in them. Now, importantly, if you're assigned to a certain tower, you don't need to stand right next to it. You can shoot it from across the map, right? Every single Vex box is destroyed with like a single SMG shot, right? Now, keeping that in mind, at this point, once you've made all your assignments, then you're going to fill up the hourglass, shoot the Vex object below it, and then every single person is going to get a very weird buff in the center of their screen, diastole. You're going to have 4 different squares, and then these squares are going to start to fill up over time, and when it gets to the 4th, it will actually pop off and it will shoot you upwards. Like if you're standing still, it will propel you into the air. Now, what you're then going to need to do is have the 3 shooters time an exactly perfect shot on one of the Vex squares on their assigned tower. So, how they time it correctly is that you need to shoot this Vex square. You need to shoot the square on your assigned tower as the shooter right when the 4th square is lighting up while you're in the air, avoiding that, propelling jump mechanic. Because if you jump before you can be propelled up, it's just going to happen while you're in the air. Otherwise, again, you will be shot upwards. So again, you need to jump at around 3, and then all 3 shooters hit the bottom Vex box of the tower they were assigned to at the perfect moment while in the air, and they see all 4 squares filled out when they're shooting. You'll know you are getting the timing right when you see like a white Vex diamond appear after the square. If your timing is off, you'll see a bit of a red glow. But if all 3 shooters do get the time right, you will see the text in the bottom left corner of your screen that the boss loses control of phase space. It's not great. You only have like a perfect second to do it, so timing may take a little while to get down, and every time you miss, your hourglass will go lower. So if you are hitting a Vex box, it takes away from your hourglass time. And again, if you miss too much, or if 2 people get it and 1 person doesn't, you have to do it again, then you're gonna eventually run out of the chronons in your hourglass, and then you will get the neo-mutation debuff in the top center of your screen, and when it reaches 0, your entire team will wipe. However, there is a way to avoid or at least delay this wipe. If you have that neo-mutation debuff, there actually are additional minotaurs that spawn around the encounter after you've filled up that hourglass. You can kill one, grab it, and quickly jump through the hoop to put a little bit more time into the hourglass, and you might be able to get 1 more shot at the Vex cubes to potentially build it correctly. But okay, we go back to shooting. Once your shooters have figured out how to, hit the right timing, when they hit all 3 of their bottom squares correctly, guys, then platforms will build for the builder on the correct plate that is again associated with the color of the chronons you are collecting. Now, let's shift perspectives to what the builder is doing. So the 3 shooters are lining up to get ready to shoot it correctly. As they're doing that, the builder is going over their plate to collect the temporality debuff. This is going to allow them to climb up those platforms that are being built. So they have that temporality. Let's say the 3 bottom Vex squares are shot correctly, then a bunch of those platforms build. You have to go up it, and then as you can see, you need to interact with this top object. When you do, then you tell your teammates, okay, shooters, go on the next one, right? Because you don't want them wasting and shooting before you've interacted with this object. That is going to lower your hourglass time, remember, because you're shooting ones that aren't doing anything. So when you've interacted, then the 3 shooters need to shoot the middle square correctly. So you're building up from bottom to middle. So you have to time the bottom square correctly, You build up the platforms. The person goes up the builder and interacts with the object on the top platform, says, okay, shoot the next one. You time it like 3, jump, okay, 4, go, shoot. It builds another set of platforms, but as you can see, it deletes the bottom ones. So you need to time it correctly with your team. So you're jumping up right as the new platforms are being made. You climb to the top, interact with that one. And then guys, you're going to do that one more time. The shooters are going to shoot the top square. You build another like 3 platforms. You go to the very top. And then when you've interacted with the object at the top platform for the 3rd time as the builder, then damage is going to start. Now, similar to the Hobgoblin, it's gonna take 15-20 seconds before the boss is available for damage, and they're going to be teleported to whatever platform the builder was building on, right? So whatever place the builder is, your entire team will coalesce around that place to do DPS, because the boss will appear there and be damageable. But in these, 15-ish seconds before the boss teleports down there, you have a couple of teammates who aren't assigned anything. They're not the builder, they're not the shooters. They should be finding the random extra Minotaur, killing them, and holding on to the Chronos, because you're going to need it to extend damage phase. So, at this point, you builded the platforms correctly, you got the top one, damage is starting, you coalesce around where the builder's platform was, then DPS starts. And one of the easiest ways to DPS this guy is with swords, because the boss is going to move while being DPS'd, so it's kind of easy to be able to lock on with swords and just move with the boss. I would highly recommend your Titans to be using the massively buffed, actually, Crest of Alpha Lupi exotic chest piece that lets them absolutely spam their barricades that will heal you just because you're going to move out of the well as you're doing DPS, right? But absolutely swang those swords. Other stuff like the Legend of Agraios is going to be great here as well. If you want to stay in one spot, you can use Thunderlord to DPS plus a Divinity and get off a bunch of Thunder Crashes as well. But yeah, you actually have a lot of different options in terms of damage here. But in the middle of the damage phase, guys, suddenly you're going to get that Neo Mutation debuff. And so you need someone with a Chronos to jump through the hoop, and that will get rid of it and extend the DPS phase. So again, if you had someone collect it prior to the damage, they've just been holding it super quick, go jump through the hoop, get back to damage. If you haven't, you're going to have someone peel away and nuke a Minotaur, grab that Chronos, and get through the hoop. Otherwise, yeah, it's not going to be good, guys. In fact, you will die if you don't. So it's a mandatory extension of damage phase for sure, guys. And so once you've hopefully cranked this guy, then damage is going to end. Enemies will start to spawn again. Importantly, more Minotaurs will spawn. And it is the same mechanics over again. So you're going to fill up that hourglass with the Chronos. Then you're going to shoot that. The builder is going to go to the correct platform, get the temporality debuff, and the shooters are going to time their shots to hit those Vex squares. They build the first layer of platforms. They hold off on shooting until the builder interacts with the first object and tells them to shoot again. And they're going to continue up to the top, activate it, and there's another damage phase. So there you have it. Those are the mechanics of this encounter, guys. Good luck. Now, we then have to get back to that central area. And so once again, it is actually quite the traversal section just to get back. You can see the route we take in the background gameplay. It kind of sucks because you use all of your sword ammo on the boss, and then suddenly you need an eager edge sword to make some of these jumps, but you can do it without it. It just might take a little while. Importantly, guys, again, once you get back to the center here, you will actually have to kill these yellow bar mini bosses because you can see I just go past them. Guys, we went all the way to the third encounter and there was no boss there. Like it just didn't even start because we had to kill these guys to actually properly progress the encounter. You know, you have to go to the top tower, activate the next encounter you're going to. So don't just run past everything to the next encounter or else it won't even start. So, keeping that in mind, we're finally going to the third selectable encounter, which is going to be the Hydra encounter. So, what do you do? Well, right off the bat, you're going to have to assign teammates to some important roles. So, 2 people are assigned to shooting each other's eyes inside the room. It'll all make sense in a second, I promise. And then 2 other people are assigned to shooting each other's eyes in the middle of the arena. And the other 2 people are just on ad clear. By the way, good luck on being the I call ad clear guy. So you're then going to need to assign 1 person from each of these teams on the left and 1 person from each of these teams on the right. So 1 inside eyes shooter, 1 middle eyes shooter, and 1 ad clearer on the left, and the opposite 3 on the right. Now at this point, you're just going to need to slay out on ads when this encounter begins, but importantly, you want to take down these Cyclopses as quickly as possible. What that is going to do is that on the right and the left side where you can see that there's going to be a platform that will then start to appear, that floating piece of like geometry that gives you the temporality debuff. So the inside eyes people collect this debuff and then they run inside their respective rooms. And it's going to look like this. You're going to get into here and there's going to be a Hydra in here with a couple of harpies you need to take down first. And they're going to do the inside eyes mechanic. So what exactly do you do? Well, as you can see on the Hydra's shield, you're going to have a glowing white eye that's actually projecting light out of it, kind of like a flashlight. And you're going to need to stand inside this light because when you are, as you can see above the Hydra, you're going to have eyes that are placed above in the same kind of pattern as what's displayed on the Hydra's shield, but one of these eyes is going to be glowing. That is the call out for the person doing the same objectives on the opposite side of the arena. So, as you can see right here, I have these glowing eyes. I'm calling out to my teammate, okay, top, middle, or bottom right. They are shooting the eye on their Hydra's shield that I called out, and then they're calling out to me which eye they see glowing up above their Hydra that I'm supposed to shoot. But remember, you can only see and shoot these eyes while standing inside the light. So you're shooting one eye at a time based on the callouts from your teammate while telling your teammate what eyes they should be shooting, and the goal is to destroy all 6 outside eyes, and then you destroy the middle glowing eye to start damage. However, before you're able to do that, after you've shot around 3 to 4 eyes on the inside, suddenly something is going to happen. You'll see the text appear on the bottom left of your screen saying that the boss blocks the unforeseen, and then you'll see a bunch of electrical effects around the Hydra in the center of the arena, and the shield around this Hydra will start to also have this flashlight glowing light effect. At this point, it's the job of the people on the outside boss eyes. So that was me, and what you can see me do is I kill the Cyclops first and foremost to make sure I can then run over and grab this temporality buff when this happens. Now, when I have the temporality buff, I stand inside the light just like the people on the inside rooms are doing, but I'm looking for the glowing lights on this pillar. So you can see there's actually 2 sets of 3, one on each side of this pillar. I can only see 2 glowing on the right side, and my teammate, the other person doing the outside eyes, they're standing on the other side of the boss's shield in the flashlight only they can see, and they can see the eyes glowing on the opposite side as me. So what you do is you shout out the non-glowing eye. So in this case right here, for me, it is just the top eye. Then my teammate is going to tell me which one is non-glowing. For them, they told me it was the bottom right. Then we shoot the opposite of what we just said. So if my teammate says, well, the bottom right is not glowing, well, that obviously means the bottom left and the top are glowing, so I shoot those. You have to, again, be in the light to not only see these glowing eyes, but to shoot the ones you need to shoot. And you can see at the same time, my teammate is shooting my glowing eyes that I called out to him. However, the two people assigned to the inside room eyes that we talked about first, they also need to do something based on this callout. As you can see right here, floating above the head of the Hydra in the inside room is a pyramid of eyes. They need to shoot the eye that you called out was not glowing. So whereas the two people in the center of the arena, they're shooting like each other's glowing eyes, the two people in the rooms, they're shooting the non-glowing eye call out. So again, in this example, the one not glowing was the top, so I called out top eye not glowing. The teammate on my side of the arena, so in this case, it's Traffic Cone. You can see him here. He's inside the room doing the inside eyes. He shoots the top eye in that like floating pyramid of eyes above the Hydra's head. That will progress the encounter, but doing so will allow you to shoot more eyes on the shield, like finish off the amount of eyes on the shield, but it will take away your buff. So they'll need to come back outside and re-get that temporality buff on those platforms. So again, you might need to clear ads, make sure there's no Cyclopses, but once they re-get the buff, as you can see, they go back into those outside rooms and they continue calling out the correct eyes to shoot while standing in the flashlight, until eventually they shoot all 6 of those eyes and then shoot the middle glowing eye, and that will start damage. So what you're going to want to do is then head to kind of a central part of this arena. To us, it was this like upper platform right around the boss here, and then you're going to need to start doing DPS. But in order to do that, you will need to shoot the last 2 remaining eyes on that central Hydra. So the 2 people on the inside rooms, they need to come back out after shooting all those eyes, and they now need to shoot, one on one side, the other on the other side, the 2 last eyes on the boss's shield, and then finally you can start doing damage, except not really, because pretty much immediately the boss is going to go immune again, and importantly, look at the bottom left of your screen. It is going to select 2 random teammates to pull through time. What these 2 selected teammates need to do is jump in front of the glowing eyes, the flashlights. So if you're selected, only one of these eyes you can see glowing. So sometimes, that eye is at the back of the boss. You're going to have to run around and stand in the eye. The other teammate, again, is going to have to run to the opposite eye. And both teammates that were selected are standing in the flashlight, getting beamed by the light and rotating around with the shield. Now, at this point, when both teammates are inside the light, the rest of your 4 teammates can actually start doing damage to the boss, as you can see. And while they're doing damage, the 2 selected people will have an additional mechanic to do, because as you can see right here, you have a bunch of eyes that spawn, and then those people need to, again, continue following that light. You can only destroy these eyes while in the path of the light. They need to shoot all 6 outside eyes and then the central eye. And then they're going to go back, join the rest of their teammates, and continue to do damage, guys. Then after a little bit of damage, 2 different random people are going to be selected. they do the same thing. They need to go and find their particular glowing eye, stand in the light as quickly as possible, start following it around. When the eyes appear, they shoot the 6 outside and then the 1 central glowing one as quickly as possible. They rejoin their teammates for damage, and after, I believe, 3 rounds of this, finally, you'll have a much longer extended phase of damage where you can really lay into this boss. And then after a bit, the damage phase is going to end. Now, this is a very long damage phase, all things considered. And if you are getting into the light quickly when you're selected, again, you're going to have a lot of time that the boss is actually available to damage. Now, this time is going to be where only 4 out of 6 of your teammates can damage the boss, but still, damage is damage. Regardless, stuff like the Thunderlord, yes, unironically, the Thunderlord, because the damage phase is so long, it does an amazing amount of damage, and especially if you're on a Thundercrash Titan, the way it does damage and the fact that it's calling down additional strikes of damage means that you have so much instances of damage that you're actually able to get your Thundercrash multiple times during longer damage phases, right? So that is very, very advantageous, but also just having an incredibly high damaging primary weapon is potentially amazing for you as well. I mean, the 3rd iteration is only disabled in contest right now, guys, so that might be one to switch to if you do run out of heavy ammo. And of course, if you run out of special ammo as well. A sniper rifle, by the way, with especially triple tap or 4th times the charm is amazing because those perks generate ammo out of thin air. So your ammo goes a long way with those kinds of weapons, guys. But eventually, once you're done the damage phase, it is the whole slew of mechanics, all those eye shootin', rootin', tootin' mechanics that you have to do one more time to get back to damage. So that is it mechanically for this encounter, guys. Good luck, and again, being able to hot swap to an extremely high DPS primary because it's such long damage phases and the windows are going to take up all of your ammo is a very good idea. So at this point, you need to get back to that central area, and you can see me making the journey in the background gameplay. Once again, it is quite the jumping puzzle to get all the way back. We got stuck inside one of these rotating orbs for a little bit longer than I'd like to admit. If you do have any remaining heavy ammo, then again, an eager edge sword or special ammo for a mountaintop to boost you up is a great idea. When you get back to this central area, however, you're going to want to go back to the purple tower. And at this point, for us, that was our 3rd encounter. For you, it might be your first. Just go back in this video to whatever other encounter you need. But at this point, once you have done all 3 of those opening encounters, guys, then you are essentially going to unlock the final encounter, which is going to take place in this central area. So you go up to this object right here, the one that you didn't interact previously. It says Dust Drifts Eternal. You're going to activate that, and that will actually be your rally flag location. So again, the encounter is going to start up here. Then to actually officially start the encounter, you hop down and interact with this floating object that says, will you finish it here? And then an absolutely massive boss is going to spawn out of the ground. Actually, pretty sick boss. And then we get to the final encounter of the Desert Perpetual Raid. So, the first thing you're going to want to do is, once again, assign roles to your fire team. And these roles are based on what temporality debuff you are getting. So, just like the Hobgoblin encounter, all 3 versions of this debuff are available: constant, absolute, and cyclical. Now, you can actually see right here the plates where you get these debuffs. The left one always drops constant, the middle one always gives absolute, and the right one always gives cyclical. Now, depending on which one of these debuffs you have, you're going to have a very different role, and you're going to see different things in the encounter. So every single person on the team is getting one of these 3 debuffs. How we split this up is 3 people went to the left and got constant, 1 person went to the middle and got absolute, and 2 people went to the right and got cyclical. Now, I believe you could change up these values depending on what your team needs. If you have constant locked down doing their job, but you need absolute to have 1 more person to help, or maybe you don't need 2 people at cyclical, you can change things around, but that's what we used to succeed. Also, having a few more people on constant and cyclical helps, because if someone dies, like if someone with the cyclical debuff dies, that debuff goes away. Now, you can get back on the plates, but organizing your team to get back on the plates and re-get buffs for everyone is a bit of a challenge. And so sometimes, someone can die and the other person can still do the required mechanics to progress to the damage phase if you have another person with that debuff. I also want to mention, when you are all standing on the plates to get these debuffs, make sure you're timing it right, because the boss has a giant space laser that will absolutely destroy you. So just make sure maybe the boss has already shot that laser before everyone hops on to get those debuffs. Trust me. But here's what each team, based on their debuff, is going to do. So around this arena, you're going to see these weird floating bombs. They're almost like the undersea anti-submarine bombs. And all of the mechanics require dealing with these bombs. So the way you do that is by finding out information about these bombs. And how you do that is, when you have your temporality buff, you're going to need to then have the people with the constant temporality debuff, they need to actually shoot the giant Hydra boss's crit, specifically the 4 tiny arms that are on the 4 corners here. And you can see, once they lay into those arms with, sniper rifle or whatever, they do enough damage, then that is going to stun the boss. At this point, you're actually going to have a bunch of white circles appear on these particular short pillars. So you can see right here, I have this white circle here. I am jumping on this white circle, and then when I do, guys, I actually get a new buff in the bottom left of my screen. I am going to get Temporal Oculus for about 20 seconds. At this point, as you can see, some of these mines are glowing. And again, depending on what debuff you have, you're going to see different things when you have Temporal Oculus. So, the people on the left who got the constant debuff, they are going to see the color of the mines. So as you can see right here, they're going to see some of the mines are white, some are red, and some are blue, right? And they're going to be shooting out color, basically, sometimes above or below, or both in the case of white. And so that's what they can see with Temporal Oculus. Now, the person in the middle with the absolute debuff, they get to see the color of the ring in the very center of the arena, the ring or the hoop, just like the Wyvern encounter. But whereas the hoop was just automatically glowing based on the Chronos that was dropping, now it's going to be glowing a certain color, either red, white, or blue, and only the person with absolute can see this hoop glow, as long as they also have the temporal oculus buff again. So they're gonna look at the hoop and say, for example, oh, it's glowing red. And unfortunately, I don't have gameplay of this, but yeah, it's literally just gonna be a glowing red hoop. Then the people with the constant debuff are going to grab Temporal Oculus and they look around for the red bombs. And they're going to say, oh, this bomb right here. And they can shoot the bomb and they can say, hey, right near me, this bomb I'm shooting, this one is red. But then the last team, the people with the cyclical debuff, they need to grab Temporal Oculus. That was my job. And as you can see, I actually can tell if these bombs are real or fake. And if they're real, if they're the ones we do need to shoot, they have a glow to them, as you can see. So they're just like a solid white glow. And so, as you can see, the people with constant are running around shooting a bomb saying, this one is red, like, is this one good? I look at it, and if it has the white glow, and I say, yes, it's real, then the person with absolute shoots that bomb to break it. Only the person with the absolute temporality debuff can shoot and break the bombs. If you've done everything correctly, so it's the right color and it is a real one, so it's glowing white, then as you can see, the bomb will drop the Chronos. So the people with the cyclical debuff, only they are going to pick up the Chronos or the Chronons. That is actually, as you can see, going to extend my cyclical debuff. Then I'm going to jump through the hoop just like I did on the Wyvern encounter, and that is going to start to fill up the hourglass, and that is also going to extend my cyclical debuff as well. And so that allows me to just keep doing these mechanics again and again and fill up the hourglass because I keep extending my debuff by doing the objectives. Now, the other two teams have different ways to extend their debuffs. For the constant team, every time they stun the boss by shooting the 4 arms, that will extend their debuffs. Not only that, guys, but Team Constant shooting and stunning the boss is also how you get more of the temporal oculus pools to spawn. So 3 are going to spawn initially. You can like all jump on one and like save the other 2. So it's a while before you need to stun the boss, or you can just spread out in a panic and then you're going to have to stun the boss more often. But yeah, so the constant team, and that's why there's the most people at constant, because they need the firepower to destroy the boss's like turrets and stun the boss. And again, that is how you respawn the temporal oculus pools so that everyone can get those buffs again. Now, as for absolute, they extend their debuff timer every time they shoot a mine. So, to run over it once more, Team Constant, they are going to be the ones that shoot the boss's arms, stun them, spawn the temporal oculus pools. That's going to also extend their timer. Then they, with temporal oculus, can tell the colors of the mines. The person with absolute, they look in the middle hoop and tell you what is the right color you need. And they're the ones that can shoot the mines, extending their debuff as a result. And then finally, the people with cyclical are going to tell you if a mine identified by the constant people is worth shooting or not, is real or fake, and they go and pick up the chronons it dropped and deposit them through the hoop to extend their timer. And once you've jumped enough Chronons through the hoop and filled up the hourglass, then you're going to have another one of those Vex objects spawn underneath you need to shoot. Doing so will progress to the DPS phase. But you've probably also noticed you have another debuff digitization that started counting down as soon as you started the encounter. You have to completely fill this hourglass before the digitization debuff runs out, or else your team will wipe. So the boss is going to kind of appear above you, and there's going to be platforms that extend down, allowing you to run up them, as you can see, to that upper boss platform. Now, when you are up here, you're then going to need to do another mechanic before you can start damaging. And to do this mechanic, you need 3 people, each one with a different debuff. So, as you can see, when you get to this upper platform, there are like Vex objects, like pillars, sticking out of this platform. And around them, I can see 2 glowing Vex objects. So, Cyclical can see 2, Constant can see 2, and then Absolute can see all 3. So, they're around this Vex pillar in a triangle formation. I see 2, and again, Constant sees 2, which means we have 1 overlapping. The overlapping one is the one that Absolute needs to go to and activate. So the easiest way to do this is what you see in the background gameplay. Myself, Cyclical, and the person on Constant, in this case Thick, we are standing where these Vex glowing objects are missing. Like, we are finishing off the triangle, essentially. So that means Absolute sees me standing on one of them, sees Thick standing on another one, and then the one that neither of us are standing on, that's the one they activate, right? Then you're going to do that same thing to the next Vex object, then the next one, then the next one. You just keep going, activating one after another, until eventually, once you've activated enough doing that technique of standing at the place you don't see that object, then you are going to get into damage. So, the team is going to coalesce around the middle of this platform and absolutely lay into this weird Vex sphere with glowing red circles. Just crank it. Stuff, again, like Thunderlord is going to be fantastic because it is a long damage phase. And again, with a Titan with Thunder Crash, by the way, hot swapping to Cuirass, not a bad idea. Hot swapping was a key part in contest mode of getting these damage phases done at all, is going to be very advantageous here, guys. And you are just going to do as much damage as possible. Now, while you're doing damage, the laser above, like there is a diamond shape above, and lasers are going to come out of it and hit you while you're doing damage. So other damage mitigation stuff, for example, the rally barricade that Titans provide, that can have a lot of damage reduction standing behind it. So that's a very good idea as you're doing damage. And anything like that, again, to survive these lasers is a great idea. Another thing is that you might actually need to just have 2 different wells, one closer to the sphere, one further back, so you are literally moving out of the way of the path of these lasers if you are finding that you're dying to them. But you will have to be cranking this Vex sphere while also avoiding these lasers, guys. However, while you're doing this, there's actually going to be a way to extend the damage phase. So you will see a hoop appear around you, somewhere around this upper platform, and the hoop will be glowing a certain color. Then you have to look around this upper platform. Generally, you just have one teammate assigned to be the person who does this, and you need to find the color of Kronos that matches the color of the hoop. And actually, you're going to get 3 hoops in total during a damage phase, and if you hit all 3, you'll see in the background gameplay, it's a very long damage phase. So you can see for us, it was a blue hoop, and the blue Kronos spawned actually right next to us during damage. I was heading to grab it because I was looking for it initially. My teammate was just right beside it, so they grabbed it, they jumped it through, and that will extend your damage phase. You really want to be doing that, or else you won't have a lot of time to do damage, and you're going to need to do a lot of damage. And so guys, once you've done enough damage, you will see that digitization debuff appear in the top center of your screen again. At this point, get off of this platform and get back down to do the mechanics all over again to get to likely another damage phase, guys. And after doing enough damage phases, enough damage, there is a final stand mechanic. So as you can see right here, you just keep damaging the boss until you get down to that final chunk of the health. Then you just need to go absolutely buck wild. Unfortunately, the lasers also go buck wild. They are going to move around, so we just committed, but it didn't work out so well for me. But hey, we still got the job done. Once this sphere blows up, however, you need to get off of this platform. If everyone stays up here, you can actually die and wipe before you actually get the completion. So get off of this upper platform. It's gonna explode. The boss comes crumbling down. And then guys, there you have it. You have completed the Desert Perpetual Raid. Guys, that is it for the video. Hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickKakis, that is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.